a request from the government of Egypt in their course of constructing the Grand Egyptian Museum. They sort of asked the assistance of the Japanese government, and the Japanese government offered to offer assistance in yen loans, and JICA, which is a governmental organization, started to assist from February to November 2006 and formulated detailed design by sending advisors in the field, considering lack of know-how and experience of the Egyptian in construction of the design of the Grand Egyptian Museum. And with us now is Mr. Suzuki, Director of JICA office from Japan. Hello, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hello, Mr. Suzuki. Right now we're at the Grand Egyptian Museum, which is under construction, as we can see. So how do you feel about the Egyptian civilization as a whole?
Yes, I think what we need is sort of a dream for Egyptians after liberation. And we would like to share the dream together so that Japanese want to assist construction museum. Yes. And the new museum is, I think, attract many people from all over the world. And also Japanese may be one of them. Yeah.
Is the Japanese assistance coming from maybe a love for the civilization of Egypt, the pharaohs and the pharaonic civilization? Do you think that the Japanese and the people of Japan as a whole love the Egyptians and the ancient Egyptians?
Yes. There are many exhibitions going in Japan, bringing attract in Egypt, and many people making queue to see those artifacts. So that means that after the construction is completed, the Japanese will come to see now in Egypt.
Expecting a lot of Japanese.
Yes.
Mr. Suzuki, this particular museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum, will be considered the one of its own in the third millennium, and the most recognized, or the most privileged, the most sophisticated museum in the Middle East in the near future. So what is the fields of interest for JICA while they try to participate in assistance for the construction of such a museum?
Yes. In Japan, there are not such kind of big museum. Yeah. So because in Japan there are a lot of rain and high humidity, but object is not as many as in Egypt. So it's a very honor, Japanese people are honored to participate in such kind of construction of museum, and many archaeologists and many conservators want to see this museum is completed.
What forms of cooperation that Japan is actually helping Egypt with during the construction of the Grand Egyptian Museum right now?
Yes, Japanese government is extending technical cooperation, that is to James Conservation Center. James Conservation Center is very important to bring the very conserved object to James Museum, and that is depending on the technology of conservators. So improving the technology of conservators is very important, and Japanese specialists, experts, are supporting by transferring Japanese technology to Egyptians. And one of them is that Japanese paper, because we have a very good quality of Japanese paper, and using this Japanese paper, all the objects will be improved. Yes. And also another one is Japanese wood. In Japan there are a lot of forests, and most of Japanese ancient objects is made of wood. So technique to conserve this ancient wood is accumulated in Japanese experts. So they are very happy to share this kind of technology with Egyptians.
Right. Again, I'm going to stress or focus on the benefits or the mutual benefits or mutual outcome on both sides, especially on the Japanese side, on the Japanese culture, as a result of this joint cooperation in constructing this grand museum. So what do you think would be the outcome on the other side, on the Japanese culture and the Japanese people, as they are very obvious that they are interested in the ancient Egyptian history? And
yes, because Japan is a small island. Also, there is China next to Japan, but Japanese is very much interested in what is going on in the world, and also history of Egypt will teach Japanese a very important lesson.
Do you have plans of the future visitors from Japan? If you have a vision, how would it be going or working after this museum is established? Finally?
Yes,
Did you plan for that?
we have a plan to bring Japanese to Egypt. Some Japanese government is assisting the tour of Japanese coming to Egypt.
So is the JICA actually cooperating with Egypt, maybe in other fields other than the Grand Egyptian Museum, in other fields of cooperation in Egypt, or is it just conserving the monuments in the Grand Egyptian Museum?
Yes, some other projects like construction of subway, underground.
The subway?
Yes.
The new line of the metro?
Yes, but that is already first line and second line. And the third line will be, in future, constructed along with Alexandria Desert Road. Yes, it will come to very near to the station of museum.
It will be easier for tourists to go and maybe Giza here in the Grand Museum to be of easy access for the Japanese tourists.
Yeah, because of now present there's a traffic jam, and it will hinder that many tourists coming access to the
saving time and money. It will be more enjoyable for the tourists as well.
Yes.
Right, Mr. Jaika, it came to our knowledge that you are exporting the Japanese expertise to the field here, and they are full of ideas, of new ideas to the Egyptian people. Tell us, what were your suggestions on the Japanese side to try to participate or innovate the new innovations that you are adding while they are constructing this exhibition? What ideas did you add to the Egyptian expertise?
Yes, we that this museum is as advanced as Louvre or British Museum, and I think taking advantage of there are many objects in Egypt which is very unique and which is very ancient object. So those must be displayed in very unique way. Yeah. So Japanese is very keen to design that exhibition. So I hope that designing also one of the area Japanese company can join.
But what about the main artifacts or the main monuments under conservation by the JICA, of course? Is there a stress or maybe a focus on certain items, or is it just the whole collection which is going to be shown here at the Egyptian Museum?
Yes, Japanese is very keen to the Tutankhamen monument. Yeah, and many Japanese interested in seeing this monument.
Everybody's looking forward to the Tutankhamen collection to be shown here in the Egyptian Museum.
Yes, because I think it was discovered 100 years ago.
Most
recently, and it gives such sort of impact on people of Japan. Yeah. So they would have to come to Egypt. Yes.
This is the main focus on by the JICA now.
and Japanese may be happy if they can contribute. Yes, more Japanese come to see Tutankhamen.
Right. Mr. JICA is the director, or the director of JICA. Mr. Suzuki is the director of JICA. You came with your staff and your expertise, and you've had quite well an experience. How long have you been here on the location?
Yes, I came here 2 years ago.
So you've been here 2 years ago?
Yes.
With your staff and the members of your staff?
Yes, yes.
Tell us about this very rich experience, and what have you learned from this Egyptian experience? You've added to the Egyptians, but what did Egyptians add to you?
Yes, I think I came 2 years ago, but before my coming, my predecessor was here. So I have just succeeded from the previous person. Yes, and this project we extended to James CC Conservation Center, started in 2008. So there is 5 years experience, and what we are learning from Egyptians is that Egyptians want to preserve ancient objects. So Egyptians have a lot of pride in the things in the past history. So we would like to learn that their spirit to preserve things to the future.
Yes. But did you create maybe a database for the monuments, or some workshops in specific places near the Egyptian Museum? Or how did things go in terms of conserving the monuments or the artifacts that are going to be shown here in the museum?
In the Luxor or Alexandria or Aswan?
Specifically here in the museum. Or did you maybe do another database regarding the other monuments in other parts of Egypt, such as Luxor or Aswan?
Yes. Most of objects is now currently stored in Egyptian Museum, Tahrir. Yes, but some others
So
are
there's
coming.
a workshop by the JICA there?
Yes, yeah. There was a workshop that I mentioned that in 2008, when Japanese came, they had office in Tahrir, the Egyptian Museum, and they are just measuring this object and made database to register those ancient objects. Yes, and now it is used to make planning to transport from Egyptian Museum to this new museum.
To the Grand Egyptian
Yes,
Museum.
to Grand Museum.
Mr. Suzuki, my final question for you would be, how important would be the Grand Egyptian Museum for the Egyptians, collecting all the monuments and the artifacts in one specific place?
Yes, I think this museum, new museum, will be a place for education, and also to bring the identity of Egyptians, how they came up to the present place. Yes, and that Grand Egyptian Museum will play an important role to introduce those objects to the Egyptians in very good way, using modern technique and also modern concept of display. Yeah.
Right, Mr. Kadayoki Suzuki, Director of JICA from the Japanese government. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming
Thank
over
you very
to
much.
Nile.
Yeah.